9 rounds of Swiss are officially in the books, and that means we have made the cut to top 16. Bringing you the action for our match will be Dr. Jikaninki and Lorinda, and have we got a good one for you. This top 16 is quite well-rounded. We've got a lot of very talented, well-known competitive Hearthstone players, and some really awesome unknowns who've had very strong runs through the Swiss, so going to be nice to get to know these players a little bit better and get to see them play, because a lot of them have not yet been featured on the stream. Dr. J, this time last year, you were sitting in one of those chairs, getting ready to play against your opponent. What's going through your head right now?
Going through my head was, I need to win this game, and I need to win 3 more to make sure that I'm DreamHack Atlanta's champion. And I think that's going through the head of a lot of these players right now. They are only 4 games away from securing themselves a DreamHack title, and I think we've got a nice mix of well-known players and also a lot of unknown players to look out for.
Yeah, you say a lot, but there's only 3 or 4 for me, I think. We've got quite a few players who people at home won't know so well, but they've had good years. We'll fill you in as and when they come up. But there's only 3 or 4 that are sort of straight up, who?
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at those names and see which ones we recognize and which ones maybe we don't, but we're going to get to know them a little bit better. We have Alan870806, or Alan Numbers as we like to refer to him. Level 9001, who's actually a player who's done well in DreamHacks in the past. Recognize that name for sure. Flame Killa taking on Chelsea. That's 2 players I'm not familiar with, but we'll get to see one of them at the very least tomorrow. Our featured match will be Stintolol taking on Galen, arguably the 2 best known players in the top 16. That's going to be quite a series. Phenom versus Tars. Phenom 3-0 swept Cydonia with his Mecha'thun Warlock in the last round of Swiss. He's going to be going up against the man who originated the wacky DreamHack deck lineup. We'll see what Tars has brought to the table here. Swaggy G versus Los Dominant. Then we have Sohyun taking on Swids. Sohyun, Swids, and Swaggy G, 3 well-known names, recognizable in the DreamHack scene. Meat versus Plants. Now,
the ultimate dinner choice.
If that's not a matchup, I don't know what is. Don't know a whole lot about Meat, but Plants does have top 16 DreamHack experience. And then our final series will be GLE taking on Orange. So most of these matchups do have at least 1, if not 2, well-known players. I'm going to be on the lookout for Meat versus Plants, because that's just hilarious for so many reasons.
Carnivores versus herbivores.
A grudge match for the ages. Get your Tumblr posts ready, boys. This one's going to be fun. We might not actually get to see that one play out on the screen, unfortunately, but we'll do our best to figure out, exactly what happened and update you after it happens. Because like I said, it's going to be Galen versus Stintolol actually playing out on the stream. Galen with his 3 King Muklas carrying him to victory, and Stintolol with a very smooth run through the tournament. He ended up 7-1. I'm not certain how his last series went. I don't know if he was 8-1 or 7-2, but either way, he got through to the top 16 before that final round, so was able to take some time to calm down, and prep for this top 16. Has Stintolol been in the top 16 at a DreamHack in the past?
Has he top? I don't think Stintolol's done very well at all in lands, because he just sort of turns up and chills.
Yeah, he's a ladder guy.
Yeah. Does he go to that many lands, though?
He used to go to the
European,
the ones in Sweden quite a lot, but I don't think he ever really made a massive impact there. To be fair, he's made impacts on ladder and obviously in playoffs and champs, but in terms of LAN events, he didn't play a huge number, and yeah, he didn't really impact, although he worked well with players like Psycho, who did incredibly well, and Sinto was helping back when Sinto was playing more with those. So he's had impacts indirectly, but I don't think he's ever really had a big result.
Well, and then Galen is a player who has gotten most of his notoriety through LAN events like this, like DreamHacks and other HCT tour stops. So 2 players from rather different backgrounds, but 2 very talented players, very well known, and we have a chance to check out what these players have brought to the table and take a look at their bands. Here we can see Stintolol, a familiar face, and actually a player who had some fortune on his side in this tournament. Usually he's the one on the receiving end of the really bad burns, but he did death grip his opponent Luker's Mecha'thun against Mecha'thun Priest earlier on in the tournament, so maybe he's been having a good time. His Paladin will be banned away, and Galen does not have his odd rogue, so that leaves Druid, Shaman, Hunter, and Paladin, Druid, Hunter for Galen.
I'm telling you right now, Cora, if I do not see a King Mukla burn a Shutterwalk, I want my money back. I'm not lying to either of you, because if there's one thing Stintolol is known for, and And I'm sure everyone at home has seen the clip thousands, if not trillions of times.
Well, that's a big number.
Trillions of times. I think I have watched that clip on repeat a trillion times at least. Stintolol is known for burning the cards he needs. It was 2 Shutter Walks. It was a Blood Reaver Gul'dan for when he was trying to win it into Worlds.
Go check out Trollden's 400th video. There's a nice compilation in there of every bad burn that Stintolol's had in competition, starting with an Archmage Antonidas at playoffs last year.
Forgot about that one.
Will Stintolol burn his important cards, or will he shirk that title and instead turn around and make it through to the top 8 into another match tomorrow? We want you to vote in the chat. Follow the channel, hashtag Stintolol or hashtag Galen, who was a 3-0 winner in his series against Just Sayin earlier today with that odd paladin looking very strong and taking down an opponent who has beaten him several times in very important series. Dr. J, what are your thoughts on this one?
Ooh, I think what's going to happen this series is I think Stintolol is going to burn an important card, but I think he's going to shrug it off, persevere, and I think he's going to take the series. I think Stintolol has a lot to prove right now. You know, he doesn't exactly have one of these titles in DreamHack, but he has just done outstandingly well in the HCT, making Worlds last year, and then being 1 game away this year from making Worlds, making it so close. I think it's his time to shine.
Lorinda, do you agree?
No, not just because I want to disagree with Jay, but I think Galen is incredibly hungry for success right now. He's top forward at Montreal and Toronto already. He's a guy, you know, when we said well done for getting top 16 in Montreal, he was like, what's that?
Not good enough.
And we spoke to him about that since. He's like, I didn't mean to sound like bad, but I just don't believe that's good enough. I need to do much better. Top 16 for a player of my standard is not good enough. I need to be doing, and I think he will be very sad if he loses this. Obviously, you're sad if you lose, but here's a guy who I think anything but winning is not enough, and I think he's getting closer and closer to that. I think he's going to possibly win the entire tournament.
I could very easily go either way here. I'm happy that Stintolol has found the drive to compete again.
Yeah,
6 months ago,
great.
he would not have been at this event. Not only because this event didn't happen 6 months ago, but because he just wasn't playing Hearthstone then.
Yeah.
If there had been an event, he just wouldn't have gone to it. So to see him here this weekend, when he does live in Germany, was a bit of a surprise for me. But it seems like he's found that fire, he's found that passion again. But this is Galen's home turf. You know, lands are his style, DreamHack is his place to be. And I think for that reason, I'm gonna have to go with Galen. Galen took down Just Sayin, who defeated Stintolol in the match for the World's qualification. And I think that this may just be Galen's time to shine as he has taken down his Goliath. Now he needs to get through Stintolol as well to make it to that top 8. And from there, there's not many people who could stop Galen from taking his first DreamHack title. But now we want to find out how you at home have voted. Did you think it was going to be Stintolol or will it be Galen? 65% over to Galen, 35% to Stintolol.
Well done,
I'm
chat.
honestly kind of surprised with the way that this went because Stintolol has some more notoriety,
Yes.
I would say.
I think part of what the chat is looking at right now is they remember that game of Galen versus Just Sayin. And like I was mentioning earlier, Galen may have consumed Just Sayin's power that he had consumed from Hunter Ace.
That has been a thing this year. We have sort of Fino and Casey as well.
You just kind of trade the power around. You're like, oh, okay, this notable player has won everything the past 3 months. All right, let's pass it over to this one.
It's just been king of the hill.
Exactly.
It's like the Eye of the Grey Sisters. You pass it around. Only one person has access to it at one time. Only one player can have the light. But will it be Galen taking the mojo from Just Sayin? Or will Stintolol say, nah, I don't believe in it, and I would like to get my first DreamHack title? We're going to find out. Coming up next, our top 16 match. It is Stintolol versus Galen.
Cora's left us by ourselves, Jay. We're going to behave this time?
We've got no supervision right now. We've got a top 16 game to cast, Lorinda. I'm excited.
I am really looking forward to this. Everything Cora said about Stintolol rings really true to me. He's a character, and we need more characters like him in Hearthstone. And if he's enjoying playing it, that's good for everybody, because win or lose, he's always really good fun to watch. He's very expressive. Gallon, I think, if he doesn't get going early, could get frustrated. I think he believes his time is soon. Let's see how game number 1 goes down. We're straight in there with the Taunt Druid and the Death Rattle Hunter.
And I would already say, right out of the gate, I think this is a pretty good cue for Stintolol. A lot of the times, Death Rattle Hunter doesn't have that many great ways of trying to combat Taunt Druid. What'll happen sometimes is, you know, even if they miss the ramp, they'll eventually get to some kind of ramp. They'll get a taunt minion down. They'll eventually get to that Hadronox turn. And once the taunt minions start coming back, there's not much Hunter can do. Hunter really needs to pressure in the early games.
Not a lot going on for Sinto in this opening hand, though. He has got the Nourish, but that's sort of the bare bones of what the deck really needs to do. And
that high main does not cost 2 mana, Gallon.
He's pretending he's drawn Keleseth. Good to see a bit of, we're seeing a bit more and more of that actually between the regular top players.
I'd say so.
Little bits of jokes sneaking into the game between each other. It's fun to see.
Definitely is. I like to see more personality being shown.
What I don't like
games.
to see here from Gallon is how quickly he's playing. I don't like that. I never do.
And maybe Gallon's just feeling confident. Maybe he just snaps this flanking strike right onto the 0-3 just to get that pressure going.
I feel like that's the thing he should be doing. Gallon, settle down, son.
I'm actually, the funniest part about this, I have not seen Gallon act like this, I don't think ever.
It wouldn't surprise me if Gallon and Stintolol have just been having a bit of a joke like backstage for 10 minutes before they started, and then this is just the end of that.
You're not wrong, or maybe Gallon's just tilted that he got this matchup first. That might also be another reason, because I think this is the worst matchup for Gallon's Hunter. If he were to hit the Shaman, it would have been fairly strong, or it would have at least been a mirror match. I
think something that is happening with Gallon, though, is he's gone from almost cocky youngster to professional in the space of the last few months. He's been in these situations more and more, and I think he is feeling a lot more comfortable in these situations. So a bad Q order shouldn't phase him like maybe it did a few months ago.
I can definitely see that.
We sort of saw it with Fino over the period of a year or two, where he used to get really frustrated with his losses, and eventually he just reined it in and started just destroying pretty much everybody.
Destroying noobs, my favorite thing to do. Now Gallon's got an interesting decision this time. A couple different lines of play. I'm really looking at this Savannah high main right now, and this high main will be able to kill the Lich King, followed up by giving an extra 2/2, because there is Houndmaster Shaw on the board.
Spider Bomb and Terror Scale. And
that does apply quite a bit of pressure. I do think you potentially want to save on to the Spider Bomb for later. I think the high main's more awkward to play, because what could happen is if multiple taunts come onto the board, you can Hunter's Mark, Spider Bomb, trade the Spider Bomb into the Hunter's Mark taunted minion. But it depends on how Gallon's feeling. Maybe he feels as if, you know, trading the high main isn't worth it. He would rather have the high main value trade into something else, and it appears to be what Gallon's going for. This is slightly more pressure than what the high main would have presented earlier. So I can definitely see where this is a much more viable play from Gallon's perspective.
There's a lot of things you can do with the Spider Bomb, the Hunter's Mark, against an Oak Heart here.
That, and it does stop Primordial Drake, because the Primordial Drake will come out and destroy the Spider Bomb, ultimately getting rid of the Primordial Drake in the process. Spider Bomb is a very powerful card in this matchup. It's one of the few ways that Hunter can try and get itself in the game.
Can see also why he was so reticent to take the Rexar here. It's a card that if the game does go long might give him a second life, but he doesn't want to get that far. He just wants to end this game as quickly as possible. Not even had time to plop down the Keleseth. He's just putting a lot of attack on that board.
Death Grip just hit MC Tech. If that steals Houndmaster Shaw, oh my gosh!
You were talking about Stintolol burning cards, but what is that?
Stintolol has taken a new leaf and has decided, I will no longer be the one to get my cards taken. I will be the taker.
He's already ripped out a Mechathune in this tournament with a Death Grip that he played for, by the way, using
He can cube the Shaw.
This is insane.
He just becomes the Death Rattle Hunter at this point.
Oh my goodness. This is something that Gallon does have to, like, just get on with. It's so difficult. Dr. J here is in tears by my side. Gallen's never going to talk to him again.
After all the games of Stintolol burning cards, he finally found the secret formula.
Steal MCT into
your
steal your shore.
This is the second time Death Grip has just given him the best case scenario. Earlier on in the Swiss rounds, we saw him Death Grip Luker's last card in the deck, and it was a Mech Cthulhu.
But this time he even had to get the MCT and then get the shore. Gallen is 75 seconds this turn. The first 70 are getting the swear words out of his head. And then he'll take 5 seconds to decide what on earth he's supposed to do about this.
I think Stintolol is trying not to laugh himself. They're both these players are just trying not to laugh right now. They need to refine their composure. That is 2 Shaws and Taunt Druid.
So
where you can rush in Hadronox. You can rush.
A rushing Hadronox.
That's terrifying.
Blows itself up, and then you just have a million taunts. Joking aside, though, Gallen is finding a lot of pressure here, and Sinto's hand isn't that great. It's fine, and he should be in a good spot, especially when he just draws this cube to unleash the shores.
Unleash the Shaws.
but it's not plain sailing here for Sinto.
Not wrong.
There's a lot of damage turning up in Gallen's hand, and that Deathstalker Rexar second life I was talking about might come into play here.
There was the potential to go for this. I think this was fine. You get the Primordial Drake into the pool.
Yeah.
If it hits the cube, then you can rush in the Primordial Drake. It's a really strong play. There was also potential to go for a swipe line where you swipe the Witchwood Grizzly and then follow it up with a Hero Power onto the Spider Bomb, clearing off your cube. And once you do that, you will be able to rush the Houndmaster Shaws into potentially the rest of the minions. You can fit a Wild Growth in there as well. I will say, though, now that I'm looking back on it, the MC Tech play was a little bit risky, because if he had taken the wolf, his Witching Hour could have summoned the wolf instead of a Hadronox later on.
Okay, yeah.
I completely neglected to remember that, so maybe the mind control play tech was a little hesitant. I mean, in the moment, it seemed very strong.
But look at his health total. Look how well that went for him. He's still down to 10 now, and he's facing 10. So obviously he can clear things up. Obviously he's not in immediate danger. But if that hadn't happened, I think he felt that he was so desperate he had to, you know, the future doesn't matter if you're dead on turn 8.
That's a Master O card. That is absurd.
And all
they
these
all
minions
have rush.
Oh my. Yeah, and Gallen
Gallen, just go to the next game.
Yeah,
Gallen, just... He's at 10 health. You're not getting a King Crush through. That Dragon Hatcher is just going to put in work. There's a Hadronox on the board.
There's a charge, a rushing Gloom Eater.
There's a rushing Gloom Eater.
Gain some health, kill some things.
I think Gallen could potentially draw, if there's a second Mind Control tech in the list. I'm going to go ahead and check right now. If he does draw a second Mind Control, nope, there's only one. That's not even an out at this point. I was going to say he could draw a second Mind Control tech, then potentially steal the Hadronox and try and win the game through that means. But as we can tell here, only one MC tech. We're going to game number 2.
Jay?
There are 2 Houndmaster Shaws on the wrong side of the board.
Yeah. And if you just tuned in, I dare you to work out how that happened. Because I'd be staring at this for some time before I had any clue how it occurred.
I'm still staring at it. I'm trying to figure out how it occurred.
Went for the charging Hydra, didn't get it. That would have been like a chance for a surprise win. Gave him a chance just picking up big things and trying to get charged with them cheaply, and that is a thing he could do. I can hear clicking.
Yeah, Gallen was hovering over that options button, and I don't know if anybody at home knows what that means, but when you hover over options, you're looking straight for that concede button, and that's exactly what Gallen's going to do. He's just going to give up game number 1. A very unfortunate Q order for him, but Stintolol taking the Death Grip off Lich King, stealing the Mind Control tech, and then stealing Houndmaster Shaw.
And then cubing it.
And then cubing. The list goes on. And look at his face.
Hi. Not quite sure where to look. I'm not used to being the happy one. Sinto, that is, not me. I'm always the happy one.
Stintolol is just so used to getting his cards stolen that he just does not know how to react. He's like, is this what it feels like? Is this what Saiyan felt like when he burned my Shutterwalk and Blood Reaver Gul'dan?
Yeah, it is. That's exactly how it feels. Feels good.
And now, if you're from Gallon's side here, your next best Q is going to be that Odd Paladin. Now, Odd Paladin has a fairly decent matchup into this, but that's when the Taunt Druid misses its ramp. And as we can see right here, there's a Wild Growth, and there's a Master O card.
So Naturalize needed to fill in the gap, and good things will happen for Sinto here.
Gallon even considering keeping the Blessing by not having a 1-drop currently.
He plays a lot of 1-drops in this deck. Obviously, because that's how odd decks work. So he does have a good chance of having something to put it on. Actually, it is only 8 1-drops.
It's not as many as you would think.
No, so you do have to risk it. If it's odd rogue where you're playing 10 or 12 sometimes, then it's a lot better for you. And this is not fun.
Gallon missing his 1-drop right now. Stintolol finding a turn 4 play to follow up this Wild Growth. He finds Nourish. This game is just off to a blistering start for Stintolol.
Gallon looking at going wide here. This is why Paladin is good against this. There is no Spreading Plague, of course, in this deck because you don't want to get back the Scarabs or the Beetles or whatever on earth those things are.
They are Scarabs.
With your
and they're very scary.
Scary
Scarabs.
And this is that's a Mukla. This is a lot of damage coming in because of the raid leader. You lose a lot of stuff, but Paladin makes stuff so easily that it's not a big disaster.
I definitely think it'll have to be the raid leader here. There's some consideration for Void Ripper.
Yeah.
One of the issues with trying to go with the Void Ripper line of play is that Void Ripper is very necessary for answering
everything.
The Primordial Drake, the Sleepy Dragon, even some Master O card boards that can be generated. And it does feel quite bad to trade in 3 of these minions. It looks like Gallon says he doesn't have enough time for that. He's just going to go for the Void Ripper here. And thinking about it, I do like it. I think you have to make a move now.
It puts more down than the raid leader would have. And it also means that next turn you've got good fungals going on. By protecting as much as possible.
Oh, okay. The way Stintolol hovered over that card, I thought it was Nourish, and I thought this game was just essentially over.
I mean,
it's still looking good for Stintolol right now.
He's got more health than Gallon.
We're going by that metrics, Neil. You are correct.
He's losing by 1.
Losing by 1 health.
And Sinto is getting to the part of the curve where he just starts dumping a big taunt every turn, or 3 if you're Mr. Hokeheart.
Gallon's going to commit to that raid leader, really taking his time, thinking about this turn. It's either the Fungalmancer or the raid leader. The raid leader allows him to fit in a hero power, and like you mentioned earlier, Taunt Druid does not have the space to fit in the Spreading Plague, so Gallon does not have to worry about that. There are copies of Swipe that you have to be a little bit concerned with, but I think Stintolol would have played Swipe that turn, so I think Gallon's got the read that Swipe is not in the hand.
Playing the raid leader also preserves your options on your Fungalmancer. It's like how long do you know, not quite sure where to put it, so take your time. But he's going to go with this because it means that the Void Ripper gets it. But the thing about this is the Void Ripper is now a 5/2, so Primordial Drake in a couple of turns' time will just destroy it.
You're not wrong.
Is Boisterous Bard, I guess, hanging around?
The question is, does Stintolol bump into something like the Void Ripper to play around a Boisterous Bard? It's a very ambitious play.
It's also a very telegraphing play of what you're doing. Not that you necessarily need to hide that information, but...
I think it's a bit ambitious. I think that's kind of caster vision coming into play.
Caster vision is the best vision, Jace.
Not wrong. It's my favorite vision. There's also only 1 Boisterous Bard in the list, so the odds they have it are fairly slim. Stintolol, I think, is thinking right now whether he wants to just go for the 12 and try and survive with what he's got, or if he really feels like he needs some other kind of card. That Nourish is a little late to the party.
Yeah, it is. By a little late,
though.
Way too late. I guess it's okay. Here's some damage for the first time now from Gallon. He's really going to have a massive turn here, and If he could force Stintolol into coin Primordial, without the Primordial necessarily being that good, that would be a result for him.
This Boisterous Bard right now
is tasty.
Looking pretty scrumptious.
Yeah, looks like that's what he's going to go for.
I love it every time Gallon plays King Mugla. Just has to emote, and I love it. Put the card in your deck for a reason. That's to warrant emotes from your opponent.
Actually put Sinto in a big spot here. And this was the play when he thought about the Void Ripper ages ago. How is it going to look when it goes into that potential Primordial Drake turn? And he would have envisaged roughly this board state because of the Boisterous Bard. That's why he was okay with the Void Ripper going down to 2 health.
And Stintolol is just trying to set up this Master O card next turn. He had to use the Naturalize there, a little bit unfortunate.
I think this is 19 days. He's got the Raid Leader, so he should be good here.
This is quite a bit of damage, and I'm pretty sure this is lethal.
It's exact lethal, I think.
Exact. Lorenda, your math skills are impressive. Gallon spots it. He's going to immediately do it. Sinto concedes. We're going to game number 3.
One apiece, and that was impressive stuff, especially he did nothing on turn 1. Hero power.
Yeah, I was a little shocked to see it escalate that much. A lot of times in those matchups, you don't necessarily need to have a turn 1 play. Obviously, you would like to have a turn 1 play, but the way Odd Paladin wins those matchups is just by making sure it has those mid-range threats in the Fungal Mancer, had Void Ripper to answer the first kind of, serious threat that Stintolol played in the way in the form of that Ironwood Golem. And the way I'm looking at it, Gallon's Odd Paladin's looking like it's faring pretty strong into Stintolol's lineup for the rest. So
is it an even lock hanging around there for Sinto, though?
There is an even Warlock hanging around for Stintolol.
This is an interesting match. I think the perception is that the even lock just always wins. I think that perception is wrong, personally. Obviously, sometimes it just blows you out. It just draws Hellfires and Defiles, and there's nothing you can do, and then they drop a Giant, and you're like, why did I play Hearthstone today? But that perception is just a thing that sometimes happens, and of course, we've all lost that way. But actually, the reality is that the Paladin can withstand one lot of AoE, it can draw a lot of cards, it can put on pressure, and sometimes even look, actually like now, just doesn't have it.
I think it's very important that Gallon got the win when he did. He wanted the Odd Paladin to beat out that Taunt Druid, because the Taunt Druid isn't necessarily the strongest. What's going to happen for Gallon now is he has access to Malygos Druid as his last deck, and Malygos Druid is pretty strong against both the Shutterwalk Shaman and the Even Warlock. So I think both two favorable matchups is pretty good.
And this is one of the reasons why the Monkey is so good.
The Monkey just gives Stintolol a free Giant, though.
It does, but, who cares?
I kind of care.
You care?
I really care. There is a Giant that was given to Stintolol for free.
It's only an 8/8. It'll be fine.
It's only an 8/8 that gets a value trade into the 5/5. And by the way, there's another Giant.
Yeah, the other Giant is the thing I care more about. I think that the trade-off for your opponent having an 8/8 versus having a bunch of cards drawn was okay. It wasn't great, and you cared. But 2 Giants, one of which is 9/9.
Banana's not an even cost card. What is that doing there?
And Stintolol just goes in for the big noise.
I love the big noise. He's just trying to end this game.
But the Protector and various other bits and pieces, Gallon can chunk some more damage into this. I mean, this is like a full 75 seconds of counting who wins races because of Righteous Protectors.
I love Stintolol's play there, though. I really respect the going face there. Because
Does he know any other plays?
You're not wrong. The reason that is just such a powerful play is that it puts Gallon on the back foot, and if Gallon does not have Righteous Protector, which I think is the only taunt minion besides something like Stonehill, the Hellfire just kind of cleans up the game, and the Giants will push face, or it forces Gallon to effectively answer one of these Giants with something like a Blessing of Might. And if he does that, he's not going to have a board state, and there's still a giant to stick around.
Yeah, I think that he's cornered himself here, like joking aside about not caring about 3-mana 8/8s. And he's got to, I feel, just get aggressive because he can take care of these giants, but it costs him most of his hand, and when the Warlock starts to stabilize, you're done. So this is consistent with what he was trying to achieve.
So the question is, how does he navigate these next couple of turns? Does have the Hellfire. If he goes for the Hellfire, though, he's essentially forced to trade into the King Mukla as well. He will not die to Leroy, necessarily. But he has to take 2 trades and then doesn't necessarily have lethal in the follow-up. But I think you kind of have to do this. On top of that, I'm pretty sure you'll have one of the giants stick around.
Yeah.
If you play the banana on it. I actually don't even think you need to play the banana on it.
Wow.
But might as well. Why not? And that sets up lethal for the following turn.
It's turn 5. Oh, it's squirrel time, Jace.
This Tink Master needs to carry the Odd Paladin team right now. Get in there.
Come on, squirrel.
That's a squirrel. If I've ever seen one, that is a squirrel.
This has been one of the most ridiculous first 5 turns of Hearthstone I've ever seen.
Loving it. And this 10-2 is going face.
Oh, yeah.
I don't doubt it. Watch it.
Squirrel has the best noise in Hearthstone when it does this.
It really does.
Every time. Oh, that's a second Righteous Protector. That muddies the waters even more.
Don't know if that's enough, though. Just a value trade and a Spellstone. And the Black Knight's in the hand. Just to clean it up. The Black Knight can kill a 1-drop to push through this Mountain Giant for lethal. What world are we living in, Lorinda?
We're living in Stintolol.
I don't know if that's a place I want to be.
That's a terrifying. They're all these lands and parks and things that I come up with.
What is it with Stintolol and finding himself in the most abstract situations? Whether it's he's burning key important cards.
We're on turn 6, we've seen like 25 different minions or something. And both players have no health left. They've just ignored each other's boards where they've been able to just hit each other.
The worst part about this for Gallon is King Mukla was in 3 of his decks, and it betrayed him this game. It gave 2 giants to Stintolol.
2 giants.
I mean, I agree with he had to play it.
I mean, if Stintolol doesn't have a giant, for instance, he just wins the game because the Warlock can't deal with a 5/5. If he feels the matchup's that bad, then maybe he just wanted to go for it. Obviously, I was kidding around when I said, hey, I'm not scared of an 8/8. Obviously, I am. But it was the second one, really, that did the damage. And Black Knight Bosch.
The Black Knight clearing up a Righteous Protector to finally push this giant through. What a game.
What a quick game. 7 turns of insane Hearthstone action there from Stintolol in this top 16. And I don't know, when Sinto cares, Hearthstone's fun. He just brings this level of ridiculousness to the game.
I don't think Gallon can believe it right now. Gallon is just contemplating all those Muklas he put in his deck. He's just thinking, should I have put Mukla in my deck? Should that have been another 3-drop?
I mean, he's in the top 16. When you get to the top 16, your lineup was probably a good choice.
Mukla can only carry you so far, Lorinda, and then it just betrays you.
Yeah. That tutorial Mukla's pretty scary. It's massive!
But getting back to this matchup, the one thing going for Gallon right now is his last deck is a Malygos Druid.
Sure.
And this Malygos, he just has not learned his lesson.
We can tell it's Malygos Druid because there's King Mukla there.
Exactly, that's how we can tell. But this last matchup is Malygos Druid. And Malygos Druid, I would say, is fairly decent overall against Even Warlock because Even Warlock will get itself down to those life totals where Malygos will just combo them out of the game.
Please
and then
don't draw a giant.
After this matchup, it will be Shutterwalk Shaman, which I think is another decent matchup with a Malygos Druid. So I still think Gallon can come back in this. But it's going to take quite a bit.
Are we going to see Mukla again? We are, right?
We're definitely going to see this Mukla. And it's definitely going to burn Blood Reaver Gludan. I'm already calling it.
Yeah.
Quote me now. That's the Blood Reaper Gul'dan. It looked kind of like it.
Jay wants his money back. He was saying
I want my money back.
Yeah,
I told you a card was going to get burned. I just didn't say which one.
Well, this is why you play the Mukla.
Take value trades.
Value trades. You play it because it's hard to deal with, as well as trying to go with that, but yeah.
It is very difficult to deal with. The best thing to deal with it is something like a Bulgur Homunculus earlier on into a upgraded Spellstone. A lot of times that doesn't necessarily happen because Stintolol will be life tapping in the early stages of the game. King Mukla is putting in quite a bit of work.
Yeah, it's definitely making that Mountain Giant cheaper right now.
That is definitely a cheaper giant. And right now, Gallen does not have Naturalize.
But he does have Ramp, and he can afford to take a bit of damage. The Druid is so good at gaining that armor, as we all know and love. If he wants to ramp into things here, he's got that option available.
Still looking pretty good for Stintolol here. Because what'll happen, the way this game will pan out, is next turn Stintolol will have access to some kind of, you know, mediocre play depending on what he draws. He'll then be able to answer this Lich King that is currently in Gallen's hand with the Black Knight.
Also got the Geist, which takes away those Naturalizers that he'll be scared of. There isn't one in hand as it happens, but...
Gallen is so terrified of this Mountain Giant that he decides to draw, and I can agree with him. Ramping into Lich King does not feel good. That is not something you really can afford to do.
Okay.
So I like the draw, trying to find the Naturalize as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and you've got to use it next turn. You know there's a Geist hanging about. More chances to burn cards for you here, Dr. J.
I'm telling you. I mean, Stintolol's probably still in a strong enough spot that if he burns something important like Gul'dan, he'll probably be fine off. But I'm telling you, something's going to get burned. Something's going to get burned.
We're waiting. What's he going to be? Oh.
Like I said, I called it. Sunfury Protector and Bulgur Homunculus were going to get burned. And nobody believed me. Just don't go back and watch any of the video footage of what I said.
That's exactly what you said, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it was too. The guys can get rid of the bananas. That's pretty funny.
Well, Gallen does now have the double Moonfire for the Malygos, so Stintolol does need to take care of his health total whilst this attack is going in. He's fine, though. He's got so much follow-up, he's not going to be in much of a hurry.
Gallen really wants to get this Lich King down, and I think he has to. But there is Lich King's arch nemesis hiding right around the corner in Stintolol's hand.
Yeah, this is like 2 days after Lich King was released. Everybody played Black Knight in every deck because they were so scared of Lich King. And now we've come full circle, and here we are towards the end of the meta. And yeah, he's just getting battered right now.
Does he have to Malygos and
then kill some
minions?
things? I think he does.
Just to live? What else is there? He can Spreading Plague, try and survive.
Yeah,
oh, this is
having to do
awful. Committing to this line of play means that you have to find another win through something else. And I don't know if you can do it as Malygos Druid in this matchup.
Anti-Magic Shell might be a way forward here to just protect it for the whole game. You then just have this 6-14 thing that's making your swipes better. 6-14 is pretty big when you can't target it with anything.
I mean, Stintolol can just silence this minion, push a little bit of damage face.
Yeah, he can. And it's getting really close to Stintolol making it through to the top 8 here in Atlanta. In double quick time.
Stintolol really wants to play this Bone Mare. I can see it in his eyes through his hat. That he really wants to play this Bone Mare.
Destroy. I mean, the Sinto way, the first thing he ever looks at is how much can I hit you for? That's just like his
You're not wrong.
Sinto ABC.
Your magic shall not.
I like this go a little bit wide.
This seems so much better than his first instinct. But like you say, he definitely wanted to do that.
Spreading Plague Anti-Magic Shell is a play.
It is, and it's nice. Yeah, nothing's getting through that in a hurry.
The Arcane Tyrant off the top.
Who needs spells when you've got beetles?
He technically can get through it. The beetle will kill one of them, both 4 attack minions, and then a Hellfire, and then double Hellfire. I mean, does Stintolol just double Hellfire with the intent of trying to end the game with Dread Infernal, that can't work out. There's too much armor gain.
Computing.
He may go the other way, the Dread Infernal, with the intention of double Hellfiring if Gallon gets greedy. He knows UI is coming next turn in a lot of situations, so that won't work.
Maybe we wrote this game off too quick. That anti-magic shell was more powerful than I thought it was going to be.
I like the way that when you're right, it's I, and when we're wrong, it's we. I mentioned the anti-magic shell.
We were wrong, Lorinda.
We were wrong, Jace. We were very wrong.
I've been caught. I plead the fifth.
It's like you won this event last year, and I was watching. So
there we go.
I'll let you off this one time, but I'll keep an eye on it.
I mean, if Stintolol can find a way to answer these minions, which is going to be tough to do, still has a pretty strong chance, as Gallon will not have that final push potential. Lich King's gone. Malygos is silenced on the board. It is a 6/9 with cannot be targeted.
Can he set this up so that if he gets the other minions hellfired, so something like Swipe and Oaken Summons, just to have UI in your face next turn? Just to make sure that Stintolol just doesn't have good options. These things can't be targeted, so that maybe you don't play the Oaken Summons, so nothing can be targeted with the Spellstone. This is getting awfully close to lethal.
I just think this Ultimate Infestation is too strong here.
Yeah.
But you could be right. It's like he intends to ship this Ultimate Infestation at the base.
Right, exactly, and Stintolol knows that's coming. He's got to deal with the board, and I mean, how do you deal with the board, let alone the UI?
Not looking too good for him right now.
That's not going to help.
Like Gallon turned this game around.
Yeah, and this has been a back and forth series.
How about this, Lorinda? I was wrong about this game.
Oh. Thanks, Jake.
I thought it was over.
But now you're a man because you've admitted. We're up to 2 games apiece here in this top 16. Just one game between both of these players now and the top 8. Tomorrow we will be bringing every top 8 match and all the way through to that final. So whoever gets this, I suspect we'll see quite a lot of tomorrow.
Definitely a stressful game for both these players. Gallon bringing it back. Look at that little smirk.
And whoever wins has got a stressful game tomorrow because the winner plays Phenom or Tars. Phenom's brought that completely insane lineup, and Tars is Tars.
Tars, I would also, for the most part, consider him to be bringing a wacky lineup. I've heard rumors that I think he has a Prince Liam in his Odd Paladin. I don't know how true that is.
I played him on ladder, and he had one in the then.
I've definitely seen him play that once or twice.
He's definitely a fan. And Tars, he plays Hearthstone at an incredibly high level, but I don't want to say he doesn't play to win, but he doesn't build his lineups to win. He builds his lineups to have fun and then tries to win with them.
I don't know. You could argue that with Phenom, and his lineup has been winning throughout the entire tournament.
But Tars is getting really close to recapturing the #1 slot for DreamHack wins from Just Saying. He's not many behind. He was leader forever, and then Saying took it off him from Montreal when Tars wasn't there. And Tars was very proud of that achievement.
It actually appears that Stintolol has access to his Hunter last.
Okay.
Was I missing something here?
Well, this is where we're at anyway. So probably we probably missed a thing.
Well, this changes a lot right now because
Yeah.
Hunter is fairly favored in this matchup. I think the one thing going for Gallon is he does have access to that Oaken Summons package that not most lists are running that'll allow him to contest the early game of the Hunter, making sure that he kind of lives to those Malygos turns later on. Keeping the Nourish, I like it. Having the Arcane Tyrant has Lich King to follow it up. He's going to need a Wild Growth, though.
Yeah, although the Hunter tends, especially with this hand that we can see from Sinto at the moment, unless it gets some sort of crazy egg start, it doesn't... There's the egg. It doesn't usually put that much pressure on until turn 4 or 5. So just Nourish, although it's not ideal, is still fine.
But what is ideal is that Prince Keleseth right there. Very important draw for Stintolol. It's not as impactful in this matchup, but it's definitely something you want to see.
Yeah, I've looked at numbers after I've cast before and said about Keleseth not being impactful. And it's always a little bit better than I think, even in this sort of game where it doesn't do that much. It's still surprisingly good, although it's not necessarily the #1 card in every matchup anymore.
That card just loves Gallon. You put King Mukla in your deck and you will have it almost every single game.
Yeah, it seems good.
This flanking strike, though.
I'm not sure if you want it right now, though. One of the few times that Mukla's looking really grim. 2/5 eggs scare me.
Yeah, Mukla in this matchup just makes the eggs have multiple enablers that you just give them. And Stintolol's got a curve of his own, can play that Grizzly next turn into that high main, looking like a typical hunter of the past. Just mid-ranging, playing big threats, putting them in the way. Gallon doesn't have much to do right now.
Okay.
I like that from Gallon. No reason to commit the Arcane Tyrant. Wants to put that behind the Plague.
Yeah, and also goes face instead of killing the Keleseth because he's representing that mind control tech. He doesn't want Gallon to have. He doesn't mind Gallon having a 2/1. He doesn't want him to put any more stuff on the board. So if you want to play with a 2/1 and a 3/3, I'll play you at that. If you want to put more stuff down, I've got the Spreading Plague as well. That's another thing.
Exactly. We'll give him another 1/5 as well.
So no reason at all to take that down.
That cube draw from Stintolol, however, fairly strong one, because when you get to cube something and then play dead it, for instance, like this Witchwood Grizzly, the game gets very, very scary pretty quickly.
And this is the payoff for not killing the Keleseth last turn. And as if by magic, Gallon's actually built a pretty terrifying board. It's going to take a while, though, and these things do get torn apart by a lot of these massive beasts.
Stintolol is going to need something like a Mossy Horror here. He can commit the high main, but it's getting a bit slow. And there's branching paths from the other end.
There's a Mossy Horror.
Speak its name and it shall appear. Mossy Horror gets drawn. It's a very important draw right now. Not only clearing up all of the Plague tokens, but giving him a 5/5 in the process. Wow.
Gallon's level of focus has gone right up during this game 5. So many bits and pieces he can do here. Obviously, I mean, these players always see the obvious play instantly. You know, what happens if I just smash out the Lich King here? But getting to UI a turn early is something he wants to look at.
I'm just looking at this Mukla right now.
And he's looking back.
And he's looking back at me, looking back at him, looking back at me, wondering why he's in this deck.
Well, he's in the top 16 of DreamHack. And Mukla is making an appearance. He's been here 3 top 16 games already.
Cannot argue with those facts. Lich King will represent a little bit of a threat for Stintolol.
Frostmourn's a big deal because he's not probably going to be under enough pressure to die anytime soon, although
that's a Spider Bomb, there's a Terror Scale, and there's a Play Dead.
Good luck, everybody.
Doesn't even need the other one.
Sinto is hitting everything in this top 16 match. Can Gallon even get through the next turn?
It's not looking like it. I mean, he can Oaken Summons for that last injured Blade Master. Maybe draw 3 cards, try and set up a UI next turn. But there's just too much pressure from the other side. He's probably going to be looking to see what he can draw with these 3 Nourish draws.
And he needs to work out what he can beat. Things like Katharina in his head, he's got to put those out of his head.
If there's Katharina,
if Katharina's there, he's just lost the game.
There's Katharina, Gallon's just going straight home. There's nothing he can do about it.
He's looking for something specific. He decided he cannot win it any other means.
Now you just have to play the Oaken Summons to heal 6.
And hope that what?
And hope that Stintolol forgets he's playing Hunter.
Well, it's not lethal.
Not yet.
But
it's pretty close.
There's some pretty bad things happening too. When you can't play your Ultimate Infestation because you die if you play it, it's usually a bad spot to be in.
next turn, Gallon, I mean, you just need Spreading Plague. And I'm sure Stintolol can just set this up in a way where Spreading Plague just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even fit in Hero Power. That way, you know, if Gallon were to draw 2 cards from Branching Paths to try and hit that Spreading Plague, Hero Power would just end the game.
Yeah. What can Gallon do? What can he draw? Is there anything?
I think there's nothing, Lorinda. I think this is it for Gallon's run.
Looking for all the weird options you can get here.
As close as he's been in the past, I think this is it for Gallon.
Obviously, I'm not scared to make those 5/5 Stintolol because they just go straight through Spreading Plague tokens. Not that they're there, and Gallon is going to have to accept just another strong finish in a DreamHack without actually getting that win that he so desires.
It had to be Plague there. Mukla one last time.
Yeah, he's accepted his fate now.
That's it.
Take that. Another one. Passes the turn, shakes the hand, lets Sinto just finish the game, concedes it, and wow, that was rapid fire, but still pretty interesting, despite the fact it was a quick one.
5-game set, but very fast back and forth. Stintolol, however, does come out the winner. He will be moving on to the top 8. Gallon's time has not come just yet, but another top 16 performance at minimum for him. He had a top 4 finish at DreamHack Montreal just a month ago or so. So looking very strong from Gallon. Just a little bit more time.
I think we've said this about several players this year. One was Saiyan, one was Fino, another was Casey, who's recently had a final. And they're just all getting it done. This isn't just idle chatter from casters filling time. Gallon is very high up on that list of people, along with maybe Kallax and Impact, of people, and Sayun, who's in this top 16, of people we're telling you are going to win something soon, because past numbers do tell you that, you know, these guys do go on to win sooner rather than later. And I think Gallon can take away, when he's calmed down, when he's had a day to reflect, like another strong performance here. But the story really is the return of Stintolol. Just turns up and he's top 8'd just almost without trying, it feels.
That's the Stintolol I know and love. The one that just shows up, starts winning.
I'm going to make a bold prediction here.
Okay, okay.
Is this new?
Stintolol's winning the tournament.
Oh.
That's a bold one.
This is Stintolol's tournament. There's nothing stopping him. I mean, the guy takes 6 months off from playing Hearthstone, plays exclusively other games, comes back to championships, is 1 match away from the World Championships, only getting beaten by Just Saiyan. Shows up to this tournament, has never done well in DreamHacks historically, hasn't gone to many, rolls up, gets top 8. I really don't see what could stop him here. He's got a solid lineup, he's drawing well, he's not burning his key cards.
He's actually taking key cards.
Yeah, things are just going well for him, and when Stintolol has horrible luck, he makes top 8 at a championship. When Stintolol has good luck, I think he's winning a DreamHack. But hey,
I can't argue.
I could be horribly
I've never
wrong.
heard Cora make a bold prediction before. I'm not going to argue with any of that.
Hey, I'm tired. I'm feeling punchy, I guess. I'm willing to make those bold calls. We'll see how it plays out. But that is it for that series. Gallon versus Stintolol. Unfortunately, Gallon will not be advancing to the next round of the tournament. Stintolol, however, will be moving on to play the winner of... Remind me what that series was, Lorinda?
If I've written it down correctly, and it was written down in a bit of a scribble, I think it's going to be Phenom versus Tars.
Okay.
The strange match.
So Stintolol could be going up against that really odd lineup from Phenom with the Mechathune Warlock, Mechathune Priest, Quest Druid, and Quest Mage. Or he could be going up against Tars, who we were supposed to see on stream earlier this weekend, but he ended up getting beaten by Muzzy while he was supposed to be the B-stream. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to feature him, so that is really exciting. It's either going to be a really wacky lineup or probably what is a really wacky lineup, because again, Tars is that player who just continuously will surprise you, while at the same time not surprising you, because you kind of learn to expect it at this point. Like you said, he's got the most DreamHack wins, or used to. Just now right behind Saiyan, but he's gunning for that title yet again.
Tars versus Sinto might be the most laid-back match ever.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're just maybe chilling. Tars never sort of looks like he's having anything but fun out there, and Sinto tends to fall into the pattern of his opponent's sort of level of fun. They might just be out there chilling.
What I love
laughing.
Stintolol is he's just a goofball.
He's a relaxed guy.
I've enjoyed just getting to know him and just hanging out with him and seeing him at events, and he just always He's so funny.
Yeah, he doesn't come across like that on stream sometimes,
No.
but when you actually meet the guy, he just chilled.
Nah, he's a good dude. Gets a bad rep sometimes, but fantastic Hearthstone player. Really great guy. Final thoughts on the day, Lorinda, Dr. J. Are you happy with this top 16 and our top 8 player that we know of so far, Lorinda?
Yeah, I'm very happy with this. It's not quite the headline names of sort of 4 or 5 of the most recent events where we've been blessed with absolute, totally stacked lineups. But looking deeper into the names here, this, again, barring 3 or 4, these are actually players who've been working very hard on the tour all year. Most of them have had, semi-finals or a final. Lots going on that maybe people who don't watch every week haven't heard of, but a lot of these players have actually done really well this year.
And Dr. J, you think one of these players is worthy to take the title of DreamHack Atlanta champion for 2018?
I think one of these players is definitely worthy of taking this title, and I think it's a great mix of some unknown players on top of some names that you at home will recognize and come to appreciate. But I just have to give one last shout out to Swaggy G, and if Core is making a bold prediction, I'm gonna make a bold prediction that Swaggy G is gonna win it. I don't know his result of his top 16 game quite just yet, but I'm so excited to see him do well, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the future.
I'm going to take note. Lorinda, you want to make a snappy, bold prediction?
Sayun has had
That's a good prediction.
6th top 16, and he hasn't won one yet. I think it's his time.
All right, well, we're going to have to find out tomorrow. That's going to be it for day number 2 of DreamHack Atlanta 2018. Tomorrow, it is Championship Sunday, and we're going to be playing through all of our matches, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. It will be 7 total matches. Make sure you check out the bracket later on tonight for who will be making it to that top 8. We've certainly still got some matches underway, so all of those results are not yet in, but you can find those on Smash GG tonight. We want to give thanks to Corsair and LG for making this entire tournament possible. We are going to be crowning a very worthy champion, and it is because of them that we are able to do so. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. EST with our top 8 matches. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.